Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are about ready to get this show on the road. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. We are here again for another parole board watch along on the Rapid Crime Network. I hope everybody had a good day, good morning. Um, we got some interesting cases today. I want to shout out to everybody in the chat. I want to shout out to all the subscribers and members. But I want to give a special shout out to all the members. I'm gonna give you the members a shout out right now. Dove C. Lit, Thick Cut, Evolme, Tora Hayes, Mad Max 250, Sonia B, Draco, Toby Kaiwu, Shorty XOXO, T, Lovey Star, Roll Rich ENT, Queen of Three, Egon Breezeblock, Nene Faye, Sugar Bear, Lucy, Fats TV, Bree, Top Monster Gaming, Sheila B, Miss Eve, 27 Durin, Thaddeus, It Is What It Is, J Dub, Katana, Dana Maria, D Grant, Alif CJ, Colby Knows, Distracting One, Gems I View, Long Live EA, Tesha Z's, Highly Favored, Uncle L, Go Getter, Relly Time TV, Sunrise 71, Steve A, Trey Spectives, and Courtney Peach. So shout out to all the members. Everybody is appreciated. So we are watching parole board hearings. We're going to do a watch along, and we're going to make it a little bit interactive. So if it's your first time here, I'm going to explain to you how this works. Let me get... One second, let me get this together. All right. All right. Here we are. All right, today we will be watching parole board hearings. Now, if you want to support this channel, you can join a membership. You can send a super chat. You can also send a donation through Cash App or through PayPal at Wabbit Crime Network at PayPal. One more thing. We also do have the donation link. I'll show you how that works right now. The donation link will be pinned at the top of the chat. All right. So with the donation link in the super chat, if anybody sends a donation through that donation that's at the top of the screen, that will pop up on the screen. A thank you message with the name and the donation. And anyone who sends a super chat will get something similar. Pops up on the screen. All right. There you have it. Now, how does this work? How does this work? We are going to watch eight inmates who are up for parole. They are at a parole board hearing, and they will be interviewed by a panel of judges. The judges will interview the inmate, and then they will vote and decide whether or not they will grant parole in this case. Before the judges vote, however, I will drop a poll in the chat for 3 minutes, and allow the audience to vote on whether or not they think the judges will grant or deny parole in this case. After the 3 minutes is up, I will stop the poll, read the results, and then I will play the judges' results to see if the audience and the judges were in line with each other. So that's how we do it for each case. And I hope you guys enjoy the content. Now, I will be in the chat with everyone until it's time for the judges to vote. 1 second. Get this thing ready. All right. Oops. Look at that. I did that too soon. Whoops. Disregard that. That's an example of what the poll would look like. All right. All right. Without any further ado, we are on to our first case.
Is everybody ready? The Committee on Parole is called to order today, June 16th, 8:35 a.m. My name is Brennan Kelsey. I'll be serving as chair. Two other panelists are Mr. Keith Jones and Mr. Tony Marabella. The panel is currently conducting parole hearings by Zoom technology in response to the governor's proclamation related to the COVID-19 concerns and public hearings. We chose a platform that allows observation and input by the members of the public. Staff and support is located in DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Would you please introduce yourself?
Teresa Dawn,
Leah Roden,
Christy Kraft,
Gail Guerin,
and we also have John Post.
And Francis Abbott.
Okay. Our remote location is the State Police Barracks. Would staff and support please introduce yourself?
Here, classification.
Lisa Frazion, classification.
Okay. We have some further guests. Teresa, you gonna introduce them before I introduce the case?
Yes, sir. Okay. This is a case for Richard Cage, DOC number 103067. We have two participants here. We have Andrew Hunley, who's in support, and we also have Jane Hogan, who's the attorney.
Okay, great. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Richard Cage, DOC number is 103067.
All right.
Police barracks, can y'all move a little closer to the microphone? Barely hear you.
All right, let's see here. Turn up my information.
How's this? Is this any better, sir?
I can hear.
Any better, Mr. Kelsey?
Looks good. Yes, that looks good. All right, let's see here. Trying to get all the information. We all zoomed in, trying to get the information on Mr.
Mr. Marabella, put that down. You went away.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
It was it washed out the whole thing.
All right, Mr. Cage, my name's Brennan Kelsey. Again, I'll be your chair. We have Mr. Marabella and Mr. Jones. I'll explain the process to you. read some information to the record. We'll have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You have some guests here at the appropriate time. They can make a statement. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Trying to find this. Information. I have it. All right, Richard Cage, DOC number 103067. First class offender, second class offender, second degree murder. Your full term date is 10/7/2036. Is that right, Francis? I don't have that. No, 8/4/2086. Good term date. Good time date 10/7/2036. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Does that sound correct?
He said yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, would you answer Mr. Marabella's questions, please?
Mr. Cage, my name is Tony Marabella. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you a few questions this morning. How long have you been in prison?
33 years, sir.
33 years? Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you've done in prison. What are some of the programs that you have completed while you've been in prison?
In prison, I completed some courses at LSU State University. I also successfully completed anger management. I completed phenomenal hours of rehabilitation, hazmat training, and camp. Camp Winterfriend. That's a troop for disabled kids.
Tell me a little bit about what you've learned in those programs. What was the most significant things you've learned from those programs?
Well, I've learned to educate myself, and on top of that, I've met people that I've looked up to. I've asked questions about. I've learned more about myself. The person that came 33 years ago is not the person that's sitting before you right now. Also, I'm taking classes online, computers, learning about typing, and anything that betters myself. I'm surrounding myself with people such as mentors for the last 5 years.
Tell me a little bit about your work history while you've been in prison.
While I've been in prison, when I first got to prison, I was doing heavy equipment, driving tractors and stuff like that. I made trustee and I went to the dog pen in Angola, and I learned about breeding dogs, tracking them. I came to the police barracks. I was working in the kitchen for a while. Met a lot of people, different people from off the street. Asked questions, got to know them, got to see how they live, how they handle situations. From there, I went to Holden to hazmat. Received training doing hazardous material. From there, I went to I came to the mansion. I worked in the laundry for a while. Then I became a butler.
How long have you been at the police barracks?
13 years.
How long have you been working at the governor's mansion?
This would be the 11th year.
And that's 2 or 3 different governors you've worked with?
2 governors.
2 governors. Tell me a little bit about your disciplinary record. Looks to me like you haven't had a write-up in 26 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Tell me about that. That's quite a record. Tell me how you've been able to accomplish that.
Well, just by being a different person, not getting myself in situations where, it could lead to trouble. I mean, if I see trouble, I go away from it. I always was trying to educate myself, and I worked in the hobby shop making belt buckles, so that took me away from the crowd.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that as a result of the programs and the things that you've done, you're not the same person that went to prison 33 years ago. What would you say to the law enforcement and the judiciary that are opposed to your parole? What would you say to them that has changed in you, and why should they? What would you want to tell them if they were here today?
Law enforcement, well, I'm a different person. I don't think the same. I don't see life the same way I saw it when I got this charge. I mean, the charge that I did, I'm sorry for. It's something that shouldn't have never happened. But ever since then, I bettered myself, and I tried to honor the victim by being the best that I can.
What if the board today granted you an early release? What is your residential plan? Where are you going to be living? What you're going to be doing? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I entered the parole project, which will help me educate myself further with computers and stuff. That will provide a place for me to stay, and it will help me find a job. I'm 64 years old, but I'm still able to work. I still want to work.
Tell me about your family support. Do you have any family still around?
Yes, my family. I have an older sister and an older brother, they're old, but they love me and I love them. I have nieces and nephews that come to see me regular, and they support me.
I think that's all the questions I have.
All right, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, you're muted.
Thank you. Okay. We're back. Mr. Cage, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, sir.
Nervous?
A little bit.
I would expect. Do you remember, was I on the pardon board that voted to recommend to the governor that your sentence be commuted?
No, sir, not the first time, and I wasn't present at the second one, so you may have.
You weren't present at the second one.
Governor General didn't sign my pardon, so I had to re-up once he left, and I wasn't present for the second hearing.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So originally, the pardon board under Governor Jindal recommended your commutation, right?
Yes, sir.
And then when Governor Edwards became governor, he signed it.
Yes, sir.
What are your plans?
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Yeah, he was a reapplicant after the general administration.
Okay.
That's why
Right.
it was an administrative review and then re-granted back to the governor's office.
All right. Gotcha. Okay. So what are your plans, Mr. Crane?
Plan is to get out, find a job, work as hard as I could, and be a better person.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, and for the record, he was granted clemency 12/12/19 with 99 years with immediate parole eligibility, for the record. Okay, let's see. Andrew, Ms. Hogan, would y'all like to make a statement?
Yes, Andrew Hunley, Executive Director of Louisiana Parole Project. I've personally known Richard for several years, and we were very happy to offer him an opportunity to be a participant in our program. As this honorable board is aware, our organization provides reentry services to individuals who've served 20 years or more in prison and have demonstrated a record of rehabilitation. If this honorable board grants Richard parole, we will house him at Redemption Homes, Parole Project's owned housing in Baton Rouge. He will be able to stay there until whatever point he becomes self-sufficient. We will help him find a job. We will provide transportation for him to that job, to doctor's appointments, to see his parole officer. After he gets out, we're going to set him up with a bank account. We're going to make sure he has health care. We're going to get him a cell phone, teach him how to use a cell phone. Most importantly, we're going to help him learn how, what modern day social norms are. In Richard's case, I believe that the transition will be easier than most because of his job history for the last several years. He's really had one foot in society. So I anticipate Richard will actually be a very easy case for reentry, and he will be highly successful. And we pray this board grants him so he can join our program soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Would staff at the police barracks like to make a statement?
Yes, Mr. Kelsey, I'm Rich Swear. I'm sitting in today for Captain Honeycutt, who encouraged me to speak on Richard's behalf. Richard's been with us here for approximately 14 years. As y'all stated earlier, he's maintained an outstanding disciplinary record. His current assignment is one that requires the most trust of any offender in our facility. He's handled that position under 2 governors, as y'all stated. Prior to that, his job assignment was also required a lot of trust, and he handled that as well. So I think that he's on the road. I think after 33 years, he's a good candidate, and we hope that y'all see the guy that we have sitting in front of you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hogan, would you like to speak after Mr. Cage, or would you like to make a statement now?
I'll make a statement now, Mr. Kelsey.
Okay, go ahead.
Jane Hogan from the legal director of the Louisiana Parole Project, and I'll keep my remarks brief, as the best evidence before this board is Mr. Cage himself and his exceptional institutional record and work history. It's the best evidence of his character and his likelihood of success upon release. You heard from Mr. Swear that he's been at the barracks for 14 years. He's been at the mansion since 2008. Before that, he was assigned to work at the dog pen. And before even coming to Angola, Mr. Cage was a trustee in the parish prison. These indicate that these are work assignments that are only given to among the most trusted individuals serving time in the Department of Corrections. And Mr. Cage has proven himself time and again that he is among the very best of the best, and his likelihood of success if he is released is very high. When analyzing history alongside other relevant factors, such as his -1 Larna score, 4 disciplinary write-ups, and 33 years of incarceration, the rehabilitative and educational programs that he voluntarily sought at the very beginning of his sentence when he was sentenced to life with no hope of release, the fact that he's had 2 favorable recommendations for clemency, and his strong reentry plan with the Parole Project, which is in a totally different location than the jurisdiction of the offense. He'll be in Baton Rouge. He has reentry services and residential opportunities with the Parole Project. It's clear that he presents among the very best candidates ever to come before this board seeking release on parole, and his likelihood of success if he is released is all but guaranteed. So we would ask this board to grant Mr. Cage release under any conditions it deems appropriate. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Cage, I just had one question for you. You might have said it. What are your work plans? I understand where you're going and what's going on. What are your plans to do work? What kind of work?
I'm capable of operating heavy equipment, but any job that I get, I at restaurants, anything, I'm capable of working.
Okay. Okay, great. Would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, I would. If any of the family is watching this, I'd like them to know that I'm sorry. What I did was wrong. It shouldn't have happened. I can't change that. But I could honor Rebecca by being the best person that I can. And I will do that every day I get up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Is the panel prepared to vote?
Yep.
All right, now I'm back. So the panel is ready to vote. I'm going to put the poll in the chat and start the timer. So let's go. Let's go. Get your voting fingers ready. The poll is in the chat. Will the judges grant parole in this case? Well, I think so. It's looking hopeful. He did a crime that was, one of the real bad crimes. I believe it was second-degree homicide. He's been down already 26 years. He's already been down 26 years. And in that 26 years, he had absolutely no write-ups. Now, man, that is commendable for such a violent crime. And you to have no write-ups. You know, maybe that whole time gave you some time to reflect. He took programs. Honestly, there's nothing really too negative to say about him other than the crime that he committed 20-something years ago. It seems like he might have gotten reformed. He's an old man. He can't afford to make another mistake at this point. After all that time and with that record in jail, he's a model citizen. He mentioned he drove a tractor. And I'm like, wow, this guy was driving a tractor while in prison. You know, he had multiple jobs. So I'm thinking the driving a tractor, all that is part of the hard labor. So that's what I'm thinking. That's part of the hard labor. Because I'm sure they sentenced him to hard labor. Clemency from the governor. Yeah, he had a lot of pardons. We got 1 minute left on the clock, on the timer. He's had a lot of pardons. He's what you would call a model prisoner. A model prisoner, a good inmate. A good offender. I'm sorry. He's what you would call a good offender. According to the terms that I've heard from listening to these parole hearings, model inmate and good offenders is terms that are used for inmates with good behavior. We got 10 seconds left on the clock. So if you haven't voted, get your vote in. 3, 2, and 1. All right, the poll is ended. Will the judges grant parole in this case? We got 18 votes. 94% said yes, and 5% said no. So I think that 5% might be one person. So 17 other people believe that the judges will grant parole. I'm pretty much with the majority. I think the judge will grant parole. The judges will grant parole. So let's see how it goes.
Mr. Marabella?
After reviewing Mr. Cage's record, speaking with him today, it's very clear that he has an excellent prison and work record, a remarkable lack of disciplinary issues while he's been in prison. He's got a very good residential plan working with the parole project. He's got a low risk assessment, a -1 risk assessment. While there is opposition from law enforcement and from the judiciary, there is no opposition from the family of the victim in this case, except that they don't want any contact with him and they don't even want an apology from him. So my vote would be to grant his parole.
All right, Mr. Jones.
Well, if if I wanted to vote to deny parole, I'm not sure the reason I would give to do it. I agree with Ms. Hogan that he's one of the best candidates we've seen. I would have to say, well, law enforcement opposition, but what they're basing on is the crime you committed 30-something years ago and not who you are now. We're deciding whether to parole you now. And I believe that you're an excellent candidate, and my vote is to grant your parole.
All right, Mr. Cage, you have 2 votes to grant your parole today. I also am going to vote to grant your parole based on your good institutional record, the work that you've done, positive comments from staff there, and your the things you've been doing. It looks like you've been preparing for a long time. The stipulations that I would impose would be a curfew from 10 p to 6 a. Have no contact with the victim's family, maintain employment. You'll be released to the parole project. And I'd like for you to do community service, at least 4 hours a month to give back to the community in some capacity, whether it be at a church or somewhere to give back to the community. But you have an outstanding record, and today you have 3 votes to grant your parole. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you. We wish you luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes, ma'am.
can you please adjourn at this location?
Okay.
All right, that one was adjourned. That one is adjourned. Great job, guys. Great job. Minus one person, I believe. Everybody who voted, other than the one person, got it on the money. They were on the money. So great job. All right, we're on to our next case. Now, if you want to support this channel, you can join a membership. You can hit the super chat. You can hit the donation link at the top of the chat. Or you can send a Cash App or PayPal through Wabbit Crime Network. Now, we are at a parole board hearing. Inmate is up for parole. The judges will listen and interview the inmate and then decide whether or not they will grant them parole. Before the judges vote, I will drop a poll in the chat so that the audience can vote on whether or not they think the judges will grant parole in this case. The poll will be in the chat for 3 minutes. After the 3 minutes is up, I will read the results. And then I will play the judges' verdict, and we will see if the audience and the judges were in line with each other. I will be in the chat until then. And then I will be back when it's time to vote. All right, we are on to our next one.
Mr. Kelsey?
Go ahead, Tom.
McCardre Thompson.
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Kelsey, can we start the preliminaries?
Did I do the same preliminaries as we did a minute ago?
No, sir, you could just introduce the facility and the staff members at that facility and just state the time.
All right. Committee on Parole is called to order today, 9/14, Tuesday, June the 16th. I'll be your chair today, Brennan Kelsey. Along with me will be board members Tony Marabella, Keith Jones. The panel is conducting a revocation hearing by Zoom technology in response to the governor's proclamation related to the COVID-19 and public hearings We chose this platform allows observation and input by other members. Staff and support is located in Baton Rouge with staff and support. Please introduce yourself.
Ricardo Thompson.
Nope, staff and support at DOC.
Teresa Dawn.
Leah Roden,
Christy Kraft.
John Pocha.
Gail Garion,
Francis Abbott.
And our remote location is Caddo Correctional Center. Would staff and support please introduce yourself there?
Latasha Richardson, classification. Corporal Henry.
Rick Ferris, captain of support.
All right. Ready for our first case? Would you state your name, DOC number, state your name, DOC number, please.
614-880. I think 614-8800. Ricardo Thompson. Ricardo Thompson.
Okay, Ricardo, my name's Brennan Kelsey. I'll be your chair. Mr. Marabella, Mr. Jones alongside me. We're here for a revocation hearing. I'll read the charges to you. You can plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll talk amongst ourselves and we'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a parole revocation hearing in front of you? Paid piece of paper?
Mm-hmm.
And is that your name listed at the bottom, signature?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For Clay Thompson's DOC number 614880. Can you read and write?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are not eligible for appointed counsel. All right. I'll read the charges to you. You can, again, you make your plea. Number 2, you failed to report the following months: 5/2018, 6/2018, 7/2018, 4/2019, 5/2019, 6/2019. Your whereabouts were unknown until your arrest on 6/23/2019. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Okay. You changed residence April 2019, and your whereabouts were unknown until your arrest on 6/23/2019 by SPD. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Number 4, you tested positive to THC, amphetamines, methamphetamines on 8/23/18. You committed offense of domestic abuse, child endangerment, 2 counts on 6/23/2019, and was arrested by SPD. You pled guilty to domestic abuse battery on 2/5/2020 and was sentenced to 6 months in a parish jail. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Okay, you have failed to show proof of employment since March of 2019. It's number 6. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Number 7, you failed to report probation parole as directed, making all inquiries impossible. How do you plead?
Guilty.
8, you absconded supervision, making all exams, treatments, or both impossible. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Number 9, you absconded supervision, making visits impossible. How do you plead?
Guilty.
You are $133 in arrears of supervision fees. How do you plead?
Guilty.
And number 11, you admitted to traveling to Odessa, Texas, 2/25/2019 without permission from your parole officer. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Guilty. Okay. Great. Well, you can answer Mr. Jones.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Thompson.
Good morning.
Since you pled guilty to every charge, I wonder why we're here. Do you have any reason that we should not revoke your parole?
Any reason that you should not revoke it?
Yes, sir. That's what this hearing's for, to decide whether or not we're going to revoke your parole.
Yes, sir. Well, I don't want to revoke my parole.
No, that would be us doing that. We would be the ones that would revoke your parole. And you just pled guilty to a whole lot of reasons why we should, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, sir.
Tell me why we shouldn't.
I pretty much learned my lesson with things that I've been through on this past time that I've been incarcerated. So, I mean, I've overcome a lot of things, and I just look forward to going home and being with my family and doing things on according to life right, living life right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That's all I have.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Marabella.
I don't have any questions.
All right. Mr. Thompson, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
No, sir.
All right. Is the panel prepared to vote?
Yep.
All right. Now this one is funny. I can't lie. Oh man, let me put the poll in the chat. All right, timer has started. The poll is in the chat. Please get your votes in. I cannot lie. This man, bro, you did all of this? Brother, you did all of this? What is you? Bro, they let you out and you ain't do not one thing you were supposed to do. Why do you need to not be in jail, sir? Why don't you just walk back into the jail? He should have just walked into the jail himself and just like, y'all need to keep me. He could have, because I don't understand. I don't understand. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. So this man went on parole and then basically went on the run. He got on parole and basically went on the run. I don't see, Marabella's like, why are we here? Why are we even here? What's the point of this case? What's the point of this? You supposed to just, you plead guilty to everything. You know, so what I've learned is pleading guilty pretty much seals your case. If you plead guilty, you already acknowledge that you violated the parole, so they usually gonna convict you off of that. So you might as well say not guilty and hope that they find you not guilty. Just let them find you guilty in the parole board. Maybe not for a real trial, but for the parole board, I suggest you let them find you guilty. Because once you plead guilty, they'll already be like, well, you plead guilty and you broke the agreement, so you signed the contract on this day for the parole board. So you broke the agreement. We find you guilty, and if we find you guilty, that means your parole is denied. The parole is like, nah, don't do it. Don't do it. We got 40 seconds left to vote. Yeah, well, they are revoking his parole in this case. But I'm not changing the wording for the questions. You know what I mean. Don't give me no extra work to do, brother. I'm not changing the wording of the questions. You know what it is. Grant or denied, okay? Denied means revoked. Are we on candid camera? Maybe. We got 10 seconds. Well, actually, we got 5 seconds now. And our 5 seconds is up. All right, audience. Will the judges grant parole in this case? 21 votes. 95% said no, and 4% said yes. That one person, good luck with that. All right, so let's see how that goes.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Thompson, I don't have any doubt that you mean to get out and behave yourself and do the right thing and so forth. But we have a series of guilty pleas to serious parole violations that we can't deny and we can't ignore them. And therefore, my vote is to revoke your parole.
All right, Mr. Marabella.
I vote the same way to revoke for the same reasons.
Okay, I have 2 votes to revoke your parole. I also am going to vote to revoke your parole. Basically, you pled guilty and been found guilty to all rule violations. So today you have 3 votes to revoke your parole. Your parole's been revoked. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, there you have it. That was pretty simple. That was pretty simple. I mean, buddy, you need some more time to reflect on your behavior in society, brother. He needs more time, y'all. He needs more time. All right. Now, we are on to our next case. And if you want to support this channel, you can join a membership. You can send a super chat. You can hit the donation link at the top. Or you can send a donation through Wabbit Crime Network at PayPal or Cash App. Now, this is how this works. We are at an inmate parole board hearing. Inmate is up for parole. He's going to get interviewed by the judges. The judges will then decide whether or not they will grant or deny parole. Before the judges vote, I'll put a poll in the chat for 3 minutes. Will the judges grant parole in this case? So, audience will get a chance to vote. Then I will end the poll and read the results, and then I will play the judges' results and see if the audience was in line with the judges. I will be in the chat until then. I will be back when it's time to vote.
They're both under one user right now. Henry's the brother, and he'll be speaking on behalf of Mr. Charles.
Okay. Okay, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Excuse me. My name is Charles Edward Williams, DOC number 219039.
Okay, Charles. My name is Brennan Kelsey. I'm chair. I'll have Mr. Tony Marabella and Mr. Keith Jones, other board members with us. We're here for parole revocation hearing.
Yes.
We'll ask you some questions. You can plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement. You can make some statements. We'll ask some questions. You can respond, and at the end, we'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a parole revocation hearing paper in front of you?
Yes, sir.
And is that your signature at the bottom?
That's mine. Yes, sir.
And can you read and write?
Yes, I can.
You're not eligible for parole appointed counsel. Okay. Well, I'll read the charges. Charles Williams, DOC number 219039. Here's your charges. Number 2, you again make your plea. You failed to report the following months: October 2018, November 2018, December 2018, January through December 2019, January 20th, February 20th. How do you plead?
I plead guilty to that, sir, with a statement.
Okay. Number 3, on 2/5/2019, an attempt to contact you was made at your listed residence with no success. On 2/15/2019, you called Officer Smith and stated you left Louisiana for California in October 2018 and currently in a VA rehab in California, West Los Angeles, VA Center, 304 Dowden Drive, Los Angeles, California. You left the state without permission and refused to return to Louisiana. How do you plead?
Guilty with the statement, sir.
Okay. You failed to show proof of employment due to your absconding supervision. How do you plead?
Well, guilty with the statement also.
You absconded supervision, making everything impossible to inquiries. How do you plead?
Guilty with an explanation, sir.
And you're in the arrears $253 towards your supervision fees, $253. How do you plead?
I plead guilty, and that's only due to the last few months that I've been here, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you talk to Mr. Marabella. You can go ahead and make your statements, but I'll turn over to Mr. Marabella and he can ask you some questions. Thank
you. Mr. Williams, good morning. My name is Tony Marabella. How are you today?
I'm pretty good, sir.
Mr. Williams, why did you leave Louisiana to go to California?
Okay. Mr. Marabello, first of all, I have somewhat of a mental condition that I kind of get lost, sidetracked. So I wrote down my statement of what I did, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to read it to you. It's very short, kind of brief.
Go
Is it
ahead.
okay if I read it? Okay.
You can read it to me if you wish. Sure.
Okay, Mr. Marabello, I'm a recovering addict, and I've been clean and sober since October of 2018. I was arrested back in 2009 and sent to prison. After my release in 2017, I came home determined to stay clean and sober and live a productive life. Things started out pretty good. I was able to get a job, a vehicle, and I paid my share of the bills. In April of 2018, I was having car trouble where my car broke down west of town out near the Pines Road area. And as I worked on the vehicle, a car passed and turned around and pulled up behind me. And I assumed it was someone to lend me a helping hand, but as it turned out, it was wreckage from my past. Two people exited this vehicle. I recognized one of them as the person from 2009 whom I had gotten drugs from with the intent of paying this person. And when I recognized that one person, I had skipped out with his drugs, and then I tried to talk. Hold on, I'm getting mixed up here. Hold on. Oh, all right. Okay. I tried to talk to this person and explain to him that the drugs that I had when I was arrested were the drugs that was part of the reason I was arrested for. Okay. The guy had a gun in his hand, and I'll just get to it. The guy had a gun in his hand, and after my pleading with him, it did no good. He ended up striking me on the head with the gun, and then they began to stomp and kick me as I was on the ground. Now, I don't remember much after that, but when I did wake up, they were gone. I was able to make it home, but the next morning, my sister and her husband had to help me out of bed and take me to the VA hospital. When I got there, I was seen for I was treated for 3 broken ribs, a concussion, a contusion on the head, and just some bruises all over. Okay. All right. When I got out of the hospital, and after 3 weeks of healing, I went back to work part-time. Now, after a while, these same 2 guys showed up at my workplace. They offered me a proposition to work off my debt by, again, selling drugs for them. And there was just no way I was going to do that. And there was no way I was going to do that. And after a while, they found out where I live and showed up at my sister's house. In fact, they came to my sister's house twice. On the second visit, when they showed up at my sister's house, that's when I just decided to, I went out of the back window and told my sister that I wouldn't tell them I wasn't there. But anyway, what was I?
Mr. Williams, let me ask my question again, okay?
Okay.
And this is my concern, okay?
Okay.
I understand that sometimes around April of 2018, March or April of 2018,
yes, sir,
you were hospitalized.
Yes, sir.
And for rib injuries, apparently head injury. I have no records of head injury, although your people in California tell me you had some head injuries as well. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now that's in April. You didn't leave until October.
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you tell your probation officer what was going on, that you got beat up by these people? Why didn't you tell your probation officers any of these things? Why did you just leave?
Well, I didn't tell the probation officer for fear of being violated because of the situation that I was in. I left because I just felt that I didn't have much choice. These people were after me. Well, I was given Percocet from the hospital, and to be honest with you, the Percocet triggered my relapse. And after I relapsed, I saw myself sinking, going back to, the addiction world. And after the people found out, first of all, where I worked, second of all, where I lived, and I just felt that, well, I just feared for my life. And
All right. You never mentioned this to your probation officer about these guys beating you up.
Parole officer.
Your parole officer.
No, sir, I didn't. I didn't
Now,
mention.
are you aware that you are being investigated for burglaries and thefts in East Baton Rouge Parish about the same time that you left? Were you aware of that?
No, sir, in East Baton Rouge Parish?
Well, I'm sorry, Caddo Parish.
Oh,
Caddo Parish.
no, sir. No, sir.
All right, Mr. Williams, that's all the questions I have.
Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Excuse me, Mr. Jones, 1 second. Listen, I apologize. Mr. Williams, we do have one more charge I need to read to you, and you need to plead guilty or not.
Charge?
Another rule violation.
Oh.
Another rule, apologize. I read you the rule violations initially. You pled guilty with a statement. There's one more I didn't read. I'm gonna read it now, okay? All right. 11, on 2/5/2019, an attempt to contact you was made at your listed residence with no success. On 2/15/2019, you called Officer Smith, stated you left Louisiana for California in October of 2018 and currently in a VA rehab hospital in West Los Angeles with the address. Williams stated he went to the program because he was using Percocet and then crack cocaine. You were arrested in California and transported back at the cost of $2,153.75. How do you plead to that?
I plead guilty to that, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Jones, apologize.
Not quite all right. Mr. Williams, if you were to be magically released to return to California, how would you get back there?
I would get back on the bus, sir.
Okay, who's going to pay for that?
I am, sir. I am 100% service-connected disability. All of this was, I got all of that together while I was in this program. So I have the money to pay for that. I also have the money to pay. I understand that it cost $2,100 to bring me here. And I told my PO that, yes, I could pay that as well.
All right. And if everything went the way you want it to go today, what would happen?
If everything went the way that I wanted it to go today, I would be reinstated on parole, given the opportunity to go back and finish this program. It was a 2-year program, and I really wanted to finish the program. I have 9 months left to do on it. And I would go back and finish the program, and I would make Los Angeles my permanent resident. I have family there. I have a son there. And, I just feel that I would live a better life under, different conditions.
Mr. Williams, have any steps been taken to to complete an out-of-state compact to allow you to go to California?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This was started. Miss Joanne Perdue, the director of the program, she helped me to get this started, and we sent it in to the parole board. It's a request for interstate transfer. It's form here.
Right, that hasn't been acted on yet, as far as you know.
No, sir. I hadn't heard anything else about it. No, sir.
And I'm not sure what the status is, frankly, of interstate compact requests with COVID-19. I don't know about riding a bus with a bunch of other people to California, but that's not our decision to make today.
Well, I could fly if necessary, but a bus is a lot less expensive, of course.
Yeah, it is. And flying might be just as dangerous. I don't know. You have no idea what Mr. Marabella was talking about when he said you're being investigated for other crimes?
No, sir.
Have you committed any other crimes
No, sir.
aside from possession of drugs that you weren't supposed to have?
Well, yes, sir. After I relapsed, yes, I eventually went back to my drug of choice. And since I've been in the program, I've learned that, any painkillers, any type of drug that's a mind altering substance has a tendency to trigger an addict to return to addiction. And I didn't know that at
Alcohol,
the
Mr.
time.
Williams.
Pardon me, sir?
So that includes alcohol.
Yes, sir. And I don't drink either, sir. I just decided that I would do none of it.
Okay.
I would move that we go into executive session.
We have a motion for executive session.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
May I read the last part of my statement?
Mr. Jones,
Yeah, why don't we hear the last part of our statement before we vote on executive session?
Okay, now, sir, after I got myself into this trouble with these people, I, of course, just felt like I was just sinking deeper and deeper. And the thought of taking my own life crossed my mind numerous times. So after I confessed to my mother and my sister, they were the ones that kind of made the suggestion for me to go there and get into the veterans rehab where I was when I was in the service. And I'm so happy to say, I apologize to the board for causing this trouble, but I felt that I was at the end of my rope and I just didn't have nowhere to go. Now, it probably most likely wasn't the best decision to leave without saying anything, but as it turns out, it was perhaps a life-saving decision. Because
no.
First things that
No, Mr. Williams. You can't tell us it was a life-saving decision not to tell your parole officer when you left.
Oh, no, not saying that. No.
All right.
You see, sir, I didn't know there was a difference between sobriety and recovery. I really didn't. And I have obtained sobriety numerous times, but I just never got into recovery. And with the issues that I was dealing with, there was just no way I was going to stay sober without the help that I got from the VA, the mental health department at the VA, and my therapist. And I'm on 3 medications, and the medications actually do me good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. There's a motion and a second on the table for executive session. Roll call.
Mr. Marabella,
Yes.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Does we get to speak?
Yes, you're going to have an opportunity to speak. We're moving to an executive session. I assume we'll be back.
All right, this got interesting. All right, so the judges are about to go deliberate. They're stopping the interview for the judges to have a private deliberation. So we'll see what that's about. We'll see what that's about. All right, the judges are coming back. They spent a few minutes in there, and now they're coming back. Let's see what that's about.
Okay, I think we're back in session. Can everybody hear us? Unmute. You need to unmute some folks.
I can hear.
Okay. All right. We'll continue with this. I'd like to go ahead and give an opportunity to Mr. Henry or Ms. Vita to make a statement on the record. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and state your name and your relationship and say what you need to say.
Okay, my name is Henry Hinton, and I'm Charles Williams' brother, and I'm calling in support of him. Sometime back in 1988, Charles became hooked on drugs. Since that time, he's been back and forth from jail to prison, trying to support that drug habit. For the first time in over 30 years, Charles finally gave up the drugs. Because of his injuries while in the military, he's now receiving 100% disability from the military. He's also receiving his Social Security. So together, he's receiving a livable income. So without the drugs and with a livable income, I feel that old life of crime is over for him. When he got out this time, he was doing okay. However, sometimes when a person gets out of prison and returns to his old environment, the past comes back to haunt you, and that's what happened to him. In my brother's case, the Shreveport Latin Kings or Shreveport Gangs, they tried to kill him because they believed, he owed them money. When they came back, he ran and went to California. In hindsight, we can all say, well, he should have did this and he should have did that. But when you're in fear for your life, sometimes you don't make rational decisions.
All right. Thank you, sir.
When he arrived in California, he didn't go into crime and drugs. Instead, he checked himself into a program. I've spoken with the program director and his counselor, and they both have nothing but praise for him. He's had daily alcohol screens every day, weekly drug tests. He's been clean on all of them. He's been preaching at the Salvation Army's church. I mean, he's really changed. Finally, I just want to say we shouldn't be putting people back in prison, for just trying to save their life, He only violated the condition of his parole by absconding, trying to save his life. I wanted to ask also, the papers for his interstate transfer was emailed to Pete Fleming back in February. Pete Fleming said that he couldn't act on the papers while there was a warrant for him while he was on parole. In other words, he said that the board had to make a decision before he can act on the transfer.
All right. Well, thank you. We fixing to make a decision here.
Okay. Also, one other thing, this lady Betty Williams down in Baton Rouge now, she received all those papers, and she said she was going to make sure they were before the board. So that was the paperwork from his counselors, directors, and all that stuff. Did you guys get any of that stuff?
We have all of that.
Yeah.
I want to ask my brother a question.
No.
We're good. Yeah, we're good here. Listen, they'll go ahead and put you on mute now, Mr. Henry, and we'll continue the process. Thank you for giving your input. Is the panel, would you like to make a statement on your behalf, Charles?
Sir, what he just explained is that's what happened, and
Okay.
I just I'm wondering why he didn't tell me about this warrant is what I want to ask him.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, sir. Is the panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
All right, thank you, guys. Is the panel ready to vote? All right, panel, let's get ready. The poll is in the chat. The timer has started. Will the judges grant parole in this case? I'll tell you what. I say no. That's my initial decision. However, I don't know what these judges might do. I don't know if they're really gonna consider the medical records to see if maybe he was in fear for his life. I don't believe his story one bit. if you ask me. I don't believe his story, not to the extent that he's saying, but maybe some broken ribs and stuff could help. What if he got somebody to beat him up just so he could leave, so he could have an excuse to leave? I don't know, man. I don't know what people are willing to do. But how can, like, wow, it's interesting. It's almost like I heard this story before in a movie or something. Your story sounds eerily similar to something I probably done seen in a show. Like, really? Yeah, maybe. You say he a veteran, he going home? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if they let him go. I'd probably be more confused than anything, but not surprised. I don't think they're gonna let him go. I don't think they're gonna let him go. I think his blatant disregard for for his parole stipulations doesn't look good. I don't think it looks good. I don't think the fact that he's a veteran means anything in this situation. I feel they listened to his story, and I think they think he is full of it. I think they went to have the meeting and said, man, this guy is full of it, man. You believe him? Can you believe this story? Yeah, he just wanted to run back and go live with his family, and this is the story that he came up with. I don't know, man. I don't know. We got 30 seconds left. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I am not convinced. So, I'm just saying. He has not convinced me. All right, time is up. Time is up. Time to end the poll. Wow. We got a split decision. 20 votes. Will the judges grant parole in this case? 50% said yes and 50% said no. We got a room divided right now. We have a room divided, okay? So let's see how it goes. Judges?
Yep.
Mr. Marabella?
My vote is not to revoke, but I do want him to go back to California under the compact. So I'm going to ask, my vote is going to be not to revoke, but to hold him until the compact can go through, for him to go back to California to get the treatment that he was in while he was there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones.
My vote is the same. I think we are really amending his parole plan so that his parole is to interstate compact in California only. And until California approves it, you're not going to be going anywhere, Mr. Williams. But when they do, then you will be able to see a parole officer out there and continue your parole under the supervision of the state of California.
Art, you have 2 votes to do not revoke. I also am going to do not revoke your parole. I'm going to order you to ICOTS, California only, so you can continue with the VA drug treatment plan. That's your plan. So again, you'll wait there until you get approved to go back to California. But the findings today, we do find you guilty on all the rules as you stated, but that's the board's vote. Do not revoke to ICOTS, California only to continue VA treatment plan. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Wow. All right. Well, hey, 50-50. Congratulations to the 50 people that saw it coming. I didn't see it coming. I thought they was going, I was like, you see, I had to leave it out that I wouldn't be surprised because sometimes these things can go either way. And I'm not sure what is their motivation to keeping him or denying him in this case. But man, I want to thank you to everybody that's voting and everybody that's participating. You know, the participation is very important in a live stream like this one. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen any of these, but I know where they start. So I know that this one is a long one. Yeah, I know that this one is a long one. So I hope you guys ready for this one. I don't know what it's about or what happened. I just know that there's a lot of people. So there's gonna be a lot of talking. There's a lot of people, so there's gonna be a lot of talking. All right. If you guys want to support this channel, you can join a membership. You can hit the super chat. You can hit the donation link at the top of the chat. You can also send a donation through PayPal or Cash App at Wabbit Crime Network. Now we are at a parole board hearing. An inmate is up for parole, and the parole board will interview and then vote on whether or not they will deny or grant parole in this case. Before the judges vote, I will put a poll in the chat for 3 minutes just to let the audience vote on will the judges grant parole in this case. After the 3 minutes is up, I will end the poll and read the results, and then I will play the judges' results and see if the audience was in line with the judges. I will be in the chat until then. I'll be back when it's time to vote. So let's go. We are on to our next case.
Ashley Brown, Emily Pratt, reentry.
Warden Jason Kent.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. Leah would like to go ahead and make introductions.
Mr. Kelsey, this is the case for Matthew Pineda, DOC number 114422. Here today we have a number of people in opposition and a number of people in support. I'm going to go to the opposition first, and that would be ADA Randy Meyer from the 24th JDC in Jefferson. We have 3 victims that are at the same location. That's Miss Susan Scatia, Mr. Lewis Scatia, and Miss Becca Peck, who will be speaking this morning. Miss Becca Peck will be the speaker. We also have from law enforcement at Kenner Police Department, Mr. Nick Conjemi. He will also be speaking in opposition this morning. And that is it for the opposition side, the victim side. We'll go to the support side. This morning we have representing the offender as his counsel, Keith Nordyke. We have Andrew Hunley here from the Parole Project. The offender's mother, Miss Margaret Pineda, is here in support, and she would like to speak this morning. And we have Debbie Haley, who is one of the victims, but she is in support and will also be speaking this morning. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you all for being here. We will we'll make do the best we can to give everybody the opportunity. We're going to limit it to about 10 minutes on each side, however many people want to have their comments heard, and we'll keep track of it here. But that'll be the plans. I know that was discussed early, but that's the way we'll continue. All right, please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Matthew Pineda, number 114422.
Okay, Matthew, again, my name's Brendan Kelsey. We have Mr. Keith Jones and Mr. Tony Marabella on the board. I'll explain the process to you. We'll read some information to the record. We'll have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. We'll have numerous people make statements. At the end, you can make a statement and we'll take a vote. Do you understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Matthew Pineda, DOC number 114422. First class offender, second degree murder, 1 count, first degree murder, 1 count 2, second degree count 1, first degree count 2. Sentencing date 8/4/1986, life in prison. Parole date 11/26/2019, not eligible for good time, full-term life. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you please answer Mr. Keith Jones?
Yeah, just a question, Mr. Pineda, I don't know if you remember or not, but you and I have met.
Yes, sir.
When I participated in Kairos a few years ago, I did so at Dixon Correctional, and I recall that Mr. Pineda was one of the inmates who was a participant there, and his father, Manny Pineda, I met at that time. We never talked about your case, Mr. Pineda. I don't remember talking about you, frankly, during that time, but because we were acquainted before I was on this board, I want to offer you the opportunity to recuse me from consideration of your case if that's what you choose. If you would like me to leave and reschedule the hearing, we can do that. Or you can choose to have me remain on the board.
I'm fine with you remaining on the board today, Mr. Jones.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pineda. That's all for now. This is Mr. Marabella's case to begin, is that correct? Oh, no. No, this is Mr. Kelsey's case to begin.
We're going to let you begin, Mr. Jones.
All right. Mr. Pineda, I have reviewed your record carefully. Yours is the kind of case that requires a lot of attention, both about the crime you committed and what you've done once you locked up. Tell the board, please, how you, with the benefit of maturity and hindsight, how you view the crimes that you committed.
I believe that what I did to Mr. James and Francis Wheat was a horrible incident. It was a terrible thing. They were innocent victims and did not deserve what happened to them, and I am totally responsible for what happened. I have no excuses. I know my behavior was definitely not an example of the child that my mother and father raised me to be, nor the man that I am today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pineda. What would your plans be if you were released on parole? Do you have a residence and a place to work?
Yes, sir. I am planning on participating in the Parole Project reentry program, possibly employment with them also, and do a several-month transition, living in the Baton Rouge area and working with Parole Project.
How long have you been at DCI, Mr. Pineda?
I've been here since 2002, going on 18 years, sir.
What is your job there now?
I have a trustee job at the training facility and firing range. And then most of the duties consist of cleaning and some archive retention and clerical work, as well as cooking and landscaping, yard work.
Okay. How long have you been a trustee?
I've been a trustee since for about 6 years now, I guess, or 5 years, 5 or 6 years. So,
have you ever lost trustee status?
No, sir.
Did you ever have trustee status at another prison before you came to DCI?
No, sir.
Where have you spent most of the time you've been incarcerated?
Here at DCI has been the longest. I spent 16 and a half years at David Wade Correctional Center. And due to my age, they did not want to make me trustee while I was up there.
And how old were you when you were first incarcerated?
I was 16, sir.
Where were you in school?
I was in the 10th grade.
It looked from the record that you didn't waste much time before you got your GED.
No, sir. I believe I received it within 1 month of being at David Wade Correctional.
Why were you so eager to get your GED, Mr. Pineda, with a life sentence?
I was just encouraged, and I really just wanted to educate myself and make the best situation for myself and get involved in everything that I could that could possibly benefit me while staying at David Wade, but also in dealing with staff and inmate population there at the prison.
All right. And how else have you pursued education?
I have accumulated numerous college credits through correspondence. I've also taken a scholarship program from the Catholic Distance University in theology. And I've also obtained 2 vocational trades in welding and carpentry.
Which are you better at?
Probably welding.
Is it something that you would consider pursuing as a profession?
Yes, sir. I'm very good at it. I know how to fabricate, and if that's what I had to do, then that's what I would be glad to do. I don't think there's any job that's beneath me at this point in time. I clean bathrooms every day, so I'm looking forward to work. Stay busy every day.
Anything's a promotion. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you do on how you spend your time.
At work or other than work hours?
Just go through a day for me.
Okay, regular day. I wake up. I do some daily readings. I do daily devotions and prayer in the morning. Catch a ride to work, which is off the prison compound, and they drop me off. I do daily housekeeping there, cleaning bathrooms, cleaning offices, dumping trash, making sure the yard's in order, making sure everything is fully stocked and supplied. Then any menial tasks that a number of my bosses may have for us could be running copies, could be even washing vehicles or preparing the firing range for target practice later on that day. Maybe weed eating or cutting grass. It depends on the day of the week it is. Really do have a kind of a scheduled routine throughout the week. Then I may catch a ride in about 4 o'clock. Prior to this pandemic and close down all of our meetings and church services, usually 3 to 5 days a week, I'm in a church service in the evening or some kind of Bible study or a substance abuse program in the evening, then come back, shower, and get ready for bed.
Tell me about substance abuse. Tell me about why it is you pursued a training and treatment for substance abuse.
I know that I have very limited experiences with narcotics or alcohol, and I know that I do have drugs involved, steroids involved in my crime, and I just think that I have a good testimony I could share with some of these young men that come in here that are in groups with me, that they don't make the same mistakes that I did, that they could throw their lives away by being involved in the drug culture or substance abuse of any sort.
Warden Booty, what can you tell us about Mr. Pineda?
I've been knowing him for 18 years, and I have nothing negative to say about him. Every time, I spent about a year around Matthew working closely with him when I was a warden on Unit 1. He lived on Unit 1, and he worked for me, and
he does what he's told to do. He's just a outstanding guy.
Thank you, Warden. That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Marabella?
Mr. Pineda, Mr. Jones mentioned earlier about Kairos. Your record reflects that you've been in that program for 21 years. Is that right?
Since 1999, yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about that program and what you've learned from that program.
I went through the Kairos retreat in, I believe it was March of 1999, and it was life-changing for me. I experienced love that I've never received before, and from people that I didn't even know, who loved me and forgave me despite what I did in my past. And to receive that experience, that was a big boost for me, and it was really motivated me to pursue my faith walk even more so, and allow me to learn the fulfilling and rewarding benefit of serving others through the church, through the Kairos ministry, but also working as a support team for one another, for guys that are struggling in the same situation, where we meet every Monday for prayer and share meetings, where we can really just vent to one another and be there and let them know that they're not alone in their struggles and have the difficulties of day-to-day activities in prison, but also know that the love of God is embracing them in this difficult time, and will see them through to the end, to better days and a brighter tomorrow, and have hope in a hopeless situation.
Mr. Pineda, it looks like you haven't had a write-up in the last 12 years. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
You've had 17 in 34 years. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That sound about right to you?
Yes, sir.
You've spent 2/3 of your life in prison. You have structure, discipline, and you've obviously performed well. Tell me why you'll be able to perform just as well in an environment where it's less structured and you're on the outside. Tell me why I should vote to parole you, even though you've done so well. It's been in a very structured environment. Tell me why I should vote to give you more freedoms.
Yes, sir. I believe because I have educated myself, I have involved myself in positive programming, that I've surrounded myself with positive role models and figures that have been able to instruct me in the way that I should go. Also, the people that I can turn to and communicate with for counseling and leadership, but also as well as has taught me the value of true servanthood and serving others, not just myself, but those around me, and building a community wherever I go. And that there's nothing that I can't go through without their assistance and without their support. And I know that I have that in the church, that I have that in every group that I'm involved with. And I always try to be a positive influence around everybody. And I think a lot of people just feed into that. No matter where I go, we have a good camaraderie and positive work environment wherever I go. And I know that I can be an asset to whatever department I'm in and wherever I go in this life, even if it's just cutting grass or digging ditches or cleaning bathrooms on the outside. I'd be willing to do that because it is an opportunity to do better in my life. And I think that I've been through a long time of service, and I know nothing can erase what I've done. And I'm just very humbled to be here and very grateful for this opportunity to share with you today.
Thank you very much. And that's all the questions I have.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Panetta, I've looked over your case, and you've done very well. You've been heading in the right direction. I'd like for you just briefly, trying to get over the crime itself. Talk to me about your crime. Talk to me about what was your mindset, what was going on there. It's pretty vicious crime. Were you on steroids at the time? Were you using drugs? Talk to me about the crime itself.
Yes, sir. It was a senseless act. I admit that. In January of 1986, I was at a time in my life where I didn't know what my future was going to hold, because in December of 1985, my parents informed me that they were separating, and I really truly believed that my family was going to be split, and that my family was everything to me, and I was just devastated and crushed, and I really couldn't choose one over the other, and I really just started making some horrible decisions as a child, and started to go and to do things with my friends that I would usually be adamantly against. Would be drinking. I was using steroids, trying to make a good impression in school. I attended John Curtis Christian High School and thought that that might improve my chances of bringing my family back together if I could do better in football, or just be more accepted by my peers and those at school. And it was really trouble, and I had a lot of stress at home. My dad wanted me to be the best at everything. And it was just a very difficult time for me at that moment in time. And the crime, it's really hard for me to talk about, I know, because it was terrible and they didn't deserve it. And I'm deeply sorry for what I did. And all my life, I've just prayed that maybe one day I might be able to apologize face to face to all those that I hurt, all those people that I stole a loved one from. And I know it might not mean much to them, me saying it, but I regretted what I've done all this time. And I've just tried to live my life the best way I can to prove that those actions of 16-year-old child do not in no way display the person that I am, the person that I was. It was horrible, and it was completely my fault. And I will regret that for the rest of my life. I live with that from day to day.
I mean, you know, those decisions as a 16-year-old child have a huge effect on a lot of folks. Obviously, you're well aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will now have an opportunity. We'll try to talk, let some supporters speak. Again, I'm going to try to keep a good count of time on here. We'll start with Andrew Hunley, if you'd like to make your statement, and then we will move forward to some supporters.
Thank you very much, Honorable Board. Andrew Hunley, Executive Director of Louisiana Parole Project. Today, I speak to you not only in my capacity with Parole Project, but also a friend of Matthew's. I was a teenager when I met Matt. In fact, a juvenile lifer, first showing up to David Wade Correctional Center, where Matthew had already been 13 years. I was a dumb, scared, naive kid who had just got a life sentence. And as soon as I got there, you know, was able to recognize that Matthew was a leader. It was encouraged to me that I seek him out as a mentor because of the respect he had from other prisoners and administration, and I did. I wasn't the only one, other juvenile lifers. There was a group of us there, and Matthew had been there longer than all of us, and we all looked up to Matt. Looking back, Matt encouraged me to continue my education. I got my GED not as quick as Matt did, but pretty quickly. Matt was president of the JCs, a club at David Wade Correctional that was really successful. I became president, you know, after Matt, and Matt encouraged me and guided me during that point. What strikes me the most, though, about what I learned from Matt was we had conversations about, you know, my crime, me taking responsibility, my remorse, and he gave me a lot of encouragement. These were conversations that prisoners don't have with one another, that I was able to, you know, confide in him, and he always offered me encouragement. And I can remember 20 years ago, you know, Matthew talking to me about his journey through the remorse and how he worked to change his life. Like Matthew, I also committed a senseless crime. Looking back, whenever I was a kid that was first sent to prison, convicted, I know law enforcement and the prosecutors who sent me to prison at the time would say that I was beyond redemption and I was the worst of the worst. Thankfully, because of the Miller and Montgomery decisions, the U.S. Supreme Court gave us second chances. The U.S. Supreme Court said that courts and parole committees should look at not who we were when we committed these crimes, but who we had become. In 2016, I was fortunate to become the first juvenile lifer in Louisiana to be granted parole. Since then, I started a nonprofit, graduated from college, got married, and now I'm a homeowner. I'm not alone. There have been over 60 juvenile lifers in Louisiana who've been released since the Miller and Montgomery decisions, and not a single one has come back to prison. And what many of us have in common is that Matthew was our mentor. In closing, in my capacity as executive director of Parole Project, our organization stands ready to take Matthew in at redemption homes in Baton Rouge. Matthew will be in Baton Rouge with us. If he is released, we'll find employment for him. It is our intention after 6 months to hire Matthew on staff for Parole Project. Matthew's been most effective in prison when he's a mentor to others. And I feel like he would be an asset for our organization, an asset for other people coming home from prison, where he's already known as a mentor, someone who is a peer supporter. And we would like to bring him on at staff at some point. But we commit totally to a question Judge Maribel asked earlier. Our organization will ensure that Matthew is accountable to us, just like the 100+ parolees you have released to us before who have been very successful. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, next we'll have Miss Margaret. Is that who will speak next?
Yeah, let's have Ms. Margaret Pineda speak next, please.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Margaret. Go ahead, Miss.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just unmuted. First of all, my name is Margaret Pineda, and I'm Matthew's mother. I'd like to begin by offering my sincere condolences, excuse me, to the Scatia and Wheat family for the terrible crime my son did that cost them their loved ones when he murdered them. Excuse me. For the last 34 years, I said, I've prayed for James and Frances Wheat and for their families. On our journeys to visit Matthew, my husband and I watched Matthew grow up in prison from a child to a young adult and now to a mature middle-aged man. And we grew old just along with him. My husband's 83 and I'm 77. Matthew first got involved with anything that they offered him, and he excelled. And I know he is transformed because of this. It gave him a purpose, and he has shown remorse, and he is rehabilitated, and he has taken responsibility for his actions. There are a few programs that Matthew got involved with that are near to my heart, and that's the Kairos Prison Ministry, the Restorative Justice, where we were blessed to meet the Wheats, and the AANA. And I truly believe in the rehabilitation and the Parole Project reentry plan. It will give Matthew an opportunity to work in Baton Rouge and be self-sufficient and not be a burden to the state. We are here for Matthew financially, emotionally, and spiritually. And I will hold him accountable for his actions until I die.
Right.
I thank you for the time.
Yes, ma'am.
For the Wheats and the Scacias, I am very sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, we'll be. I think the next maybe would have Debbie speak. Is that who we're next?
That's correct.
Okay, Debbie.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Debbie. Keep it
Um,
brief. We got this.
Okay. My name is Deborah Wheat Haley, and my sister sits beside me, Vicki Wheat Haley, and we are here in support of Matthew. Matthew killed our father in 1986, and we are here to ask for his release. Why? Because we have read and looked at everything that he has done that several people there have already talked about. So I'll save time not going through all of it because you apparently know. And we are just amazed at how he's handled himself, his education, and all of his time there is just to us exemplary. He's done things that I didn't even know you could do in prison. He's excelled at every aspect of his work, and he's respected by the other inmates, which I find amazing, and everyone he's been associated with. I have visited with him for several hours in prison, and it didn't take me even a few moments to see the pain that he bears, this in his heart, and what he's carried on his shoulders all of these years. And, you know, sometimes in the darkest shadows comes light. And that's what Matt's done for me. It's brought me to the faith and the grace that we all deserve. And I truly think he's earned it. I think he deserves to go on and do for others. And there's not a hesitation at all in how I feel. You can't go through 34 years in prison and have all of these good things said about you and do it falsely or fake it. I do believe this is his true being. And again, when I met him, you could feel it. He resonated with his sorrow and his pain. And you know what? That led up ours. That did something wonderful to my heart. Yes, I've chosen to forgive him. Both my sister and I have. I think he deserves to help others in the restorative justice system. I understand that Nick Kangemi is going to speak. And I want to make it very clear that we don't share any views on this whole situation with him. We were there at the bloody crime scene. We were taken there before it was even cleaned up, which I don't think should ever be allowed. We had the shock, and we still can go forward in forgiveness.
Right.
He was such a young man that this thing caught up in the little perfect storm of everything going on in his life. And we would love nothing more to see him carry on what he's been doing.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right.
And could I ask that you just a couple of moments to my sister to let her say?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. State your name.
Vicki Hirschman. And I was James Wheat's oldest daughter. And I wanted to thank you all for giving my sister and I the opportunity to speak on Matthew's behalf. We wouldn't have it any other way. I think we are really very important in his life. He didn't even know that we existed. So everything that he had done for clear up until he found out about us, which hasn't been very long ago, he didn't know. We didn't know, and that this would come about. And so we've had to quickly get on board. And I was a little bit slower, but I am definitely there. And he has earned so much from so many people and has given so much. And we just can't see it happening any other way for him. He's going to go on and continue his work and his Bible teachings. And it would be a shame for him to stay incarcerated.
All right.
At this point.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you both. All right. We will now, we'll turn to Mr. Randy Meyer. Mr. Randy, would you like to make a statement? Do you have an order in particular that you'd like to?
Yeah, I'd like the other victims to speak and Chief Kangemi to speak first.
Okay, so who will be first?
Let's do Nick Kangemi first, and then the family.
Okay, Mr. Kangemi.
My name is Nick Kangemi. I retired as the Kenner Police Chief after 33 years of service and Causeway Police Chief after 10 years of service. As a detective with the Kenner Police Department, I investigated the deaths of James and Francis Wheat on January 16, 1986, that resulted in the arrest of Matthew Pineda. As a U.S. Army combat veteran serving in Vietnam and 43 years as a detective and police chief, I've never seen a more grisly sight in my life. I say this not to impress you, but to let you know what I witnessed in my lifetime. Nothing can prepare anyone to see such carnage. There was not just a simple murder. Matthew Pineda actually slaughtered James and Francis Wheat in their home. On October 31st, 1982, the Wheat's son, Michael Wheat, then 15 years old, was killed in an automobile crash, and the Wheats were awarded $456,000 in damages. On January 2nd, 1986, the Wheats purchased a safe for their home. It was delivered on January 3rd. Matthew Pineda expected that money would be in the safe, and I'll explain that. On January 10th, Matthew Pineda first tried to break into the Wheat home with a hatchet while they were asleep in their home. He tried to get in through a side garage door, but it was blocked by a refrigerator. The outside frame of the door had been broken off and a hatchet was found on the ground. On January 10th, Ms. Frances Wheat called to tell Mr. Wheat's office that James would be late for work because of the break-in. She told them she was frightened that she would be axed to death. On Thursday, January 16th, 1986, James Wheat office called the neighbor to check on him because he did not report to work on the 15th and 16th. She called the house numerous times, but no one answered. She called a neighbor who went to check on him. He called a police officer. The police officer went through an open window and discovered Mr. Wheat's mutilated body lying in a pool of blood. Upon my arrival, I found Mr. Wheat dead in the living room and Mrs. Wheat dead in her own bed. Matt Pineda could have run away when Mr. Wheat was awakened, but instead he hacked him to death. He could have withdrawn again at that point, but instead went into the bedroom and slaughtered Mrs. Wheat while she laid helplessly in her bed also. He continued his rampage and beating them both with a shovel. Droplets of blood seen leading from Mr. Wheat to the breakfast area, then to the window. The blows were so powerful and severe that Pineda cut his own hand with his own knife in his killing frenzy. According to the autopsy report, James Wheat had been stabbed 9 times to the neck, trunk of the body, piercing his heart, aorta, trachea, kidney, liver, lungs, as well as other abrasions and contusions. There were defensive wounds on his hands from fighting for his life. The autopsy for Mrs. Wheat also found she had 9 stab wounds with lacerations of the jugular veins, carotid artery, and heart, as well as multiple contusions. The safe was discovered in the middle bedroom with 2 pry marks. We obtained the combination and found jewelry, currency, and collector's coins inside, but the money from the settlement was not there. On January 18th, Matthew Pineda charged $580 on the Wheat credit card at Annex for carnival beads. The clerk asked him if he was Mr. Wheat's son. He said he was. He actually claimed to be the son of Mr. Wheat, whom he knew was dead. On January 23rd, Again, he used Mr. Wheat's card at Flambeau Carnival Supply and charged another $272.16 worth of beads. The clerk there described him and who used the credit card and indicated his left arm was in a cast. He told her he cut it on a box of beads he was handling for his father. Another lie. On January 23rd, I went to East Jefferson Hospital and learned that someone had been treated on the 15th at 10 o'clock for such injuries. She described him but could not provide the name because of the doctor-patient confidentiality issue. The description was similar, though. Later that day, I obtained a search warrant from the records at East Jefferson Hospital, which revealed that Matt Pineda of 80 Benemy was treated for such injury. He reported that he cut his hand at John Curtis School while opening a box of weights. On the 24th, I went to John Curtis Christian School and interviewed the headmaster and coach, J.T. Curtis, and obtained a yearbook with Pineda's photo in it. Coach Curtis indicated that no blood was found in the area Pineda spoke of. I took the yearbook and had him identified at Flambeau's. Some had tried to justify his actions because he was on steroids. I did not find any indication that he was on steroids. John Curtis Christian School is well known for its superior athletic program and monitors such things vigilantly. You may see from his photographs at the time of his arrest that he was not large person normally associated with steroids. I interviewed many of his school classmates and none mentioned steroid usage. When I picked up Matt from his home, his mother said he told her the whole story. He said a black guy pointed a gun at his head and made him go into the house. While driving back to my office, he repeated that a white man forced him in the house. I executed a search warrant at his home and retrieved a bag with James Wheat's ring, wallet, credit cards, Louisiana driver's license, and other papers. On the 26th, I received a telephone call from Ms. Mary Wallace. She said that the person that had been arrested was a friend of her son, and he brought over $500 worth of carnival beads to their home and stored it in the attic. I went there and I retrieved all of the bags from Annex. Pineda later confided to other jail inmates that he had killed the Wheats. He was bragging about it while he was in prison. He continued to charge gasoline on the Wheat Shell credit card in different stations for $16 and $18 after he savagely killed him. He knew they were in the house. Otherwise, there was no need for a mask and knife. He could have withdrawn at any time, yet he did not. He tried to break in 5 days earlier before that night. He's a cold, calculated killer and a pathological liar. He then had the audacity to use the dead man's wallet and credit cards 2 days after he slaughtered them in their own homes in the middle of the night to buy gas and carnival beads. He did all of this to buy carnival beads. He did not do it for love, lust, hate, liquor, or drugs. He did it for carnival beads to ride in the parade. He did not run, flee, or hide in shame. He showed no remorse whatsoever. I submit that Matthew Pineda should not be granted parole.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. We have next Becca.
Hi. Excuse me. I'm Becca Peck, daughter of Lewis Washington, niece of Fran and Jim Wheat. How did the murders impact our family? Papa Lou had the same nightmare every night for over a decade, somewhere between 1 and 2 decades, before they started tapering off. In the nightmare, someone always broke into his home, was on top of him, stabbing him and cutting his throat, just like what Mr. Pineda did to Papa Lou's sister. He'd wake screaming and crying. Every night, it was terrible. For several years following the murders, Papa Lou used to visit the graves daily. He cried a lot, all the time. The murders changed him. He used to be happy-go-lucky, joke around and laugh. After the murders, he stopped all that. He's had 2 nervous breakdowns. He's been depressed for years and is on antidepressants. My grandfather, John, also used to be a big jokester and prankster. He was very happy, laughing and smiling. After the murders, that all stopped. Grandpa became very somber and couldn't sleep. He wouldn't talk about Fran and Jim. Grandma Lena became very reserved and wouldn't laugh. If she caught herself laughing, she'd start to cry. She didn't want to tell anybody what happened to Fran and Jim. Grandpa and Grandma were ashamed Fran and Jim were murdered. They weren't responsible, yet they felt ashamed. I felt terrible for them and very angry with Mr. Pineda for hurting them and us. One time I tried to record my grandparents talking about how the murders impacted them. Grandpa got mad and refused. Grandma started letting me record her. Then she quickly started to cry and said, "I can't do this." Mom used to have young people in her home a lot. After the murder, she became very afraid of young men. She was scared of having boys in her home. She had a difficult time trusting anyone and was suspicious of everyone. She additionally had trouble sleeping, partially because Papa woke her up constantly with the nightmares. But then she also had a hard time falling asleep because she would lay there and think about Fran and the fight and the brutal way that Fran and Jim died and how terrified they must have been. How did the crime impact my life? I've had nightmares for years, terrible insomnia problems. I just started getting to the point where I could sleep at night. Sadly, over the last 3 years, I'm up again most nights until 3 a.m. I used to sit in my kitchen thinking every sound was someone breaking into my home to murder me. I'd hold my phone with my fingers poised to call the police. Mom sometimes leaves the phone off hook. I get scared, even now, when the line is busy and I can't reach them, thinking someone broke into their home and murdered them, knocking the phone off hook. We all have security alarms. I worry if Mr. Pineda is released, will he come to our home seeking revenge because we fought to keep him in prison? For the last 34 and a half years, I've been obsessed with the discrepancies between the facts of the murders and what Mr. Pineda says happened. Chief Kangemi just did a great job of retelling the story. I do not believe Mr. Pineda is rehabilitated and has not earned parole. Why? Rehabilitation requires a perpetrator own the crime and take personal responsibility. He says he did, but yet during the sentencing hearing, his attorney kept talking about steroids. He had a witness say that if it weren't for the steroids, the murder would have never happened. Yet there is no evidence in the police report that there was any steroid use. He never talked about steroids to any of the other inmates when he talked to them and admitted why he did the crime was because he admitted to other inmates while in prison that he committed the crime because Fran and Jim could identify him. He lived down the street and across the street from them. It was January. It gets dark around 5 o'clock, 5:30. He could have easily walked across the street and looked to see if they were home. The garage door was open. The lights were on. There was normal activity. How did he know they weren't home? He kept insisting he didn't believe they were home. Well, how did he know?
Let's wrap up.
Okay. I do not believe that the story that he claims and the facts of the case warrant his being released. If he was really truly an empty home, he didn't need a knife and he didn't need a ski mask. And he attempted to break in the week before. And see, this is what I've been obsessed about for 34 and a half years. If it were an empty home, why did he need a ski mask? And why did he need a knife? And a week before he attempted to break in, if he really wanted it to be empty, he would have made sure that it was empty before he tried again.
All right. Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Randy Meyer.
Good morning, Randy Meyer, Assistant DA in Jefferson Parish. This is the first time Mr. Panetta has come up for a parole hearing. You know, we're opposed due to the brutal and savage murders that he committed against these two innocent victims. The descriptions of the murders that Chief Jimmy gave don't even come close to doing justice to what Mr. Panetta did to these people. That, along with the victim opposition, we have an opposition ourselves. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right.
Mr. Meyer, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Help us, Mr. Meyer. You know as well as I do what the Miller and Montgomery cases say. There was a court hearing. There was a hearing before the trial court on whether or not Mr. Panetta was the worst of the worst. Is that right?
Yes.
And
he was granted parole eligibility.
Right. And so how do we, because of the nature of the crime, after the court heard all about the nature of the crime, how do we substitute our judgment for his?
You have to make your decision based on what you see, Mr. Jones. I'm not going to tell you one way to do it. We're opposed. We're opposed due to the brutality of the crime and due to the victim opposition. We're opposed.
All right.
Now, you know, you do what you need to do.
All right. Thank you. Now we'll go back to Mr. Panetta or Mr. Nordyke, if you'd like to make a statement before, or you'd like to wrap it up at the end.
I would like Matt to go ahead and speak now, and I'll finish up.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Panetta, make a comment on your behalf.
Thank you. I come today very humble, and I just bow before this honorable board today, and I throw myself at your mercy. And the main thing that I wanted to come to do today was to apologize to Mr. Lou and Miss Susan Scotia, and because I've never had an opportunity to apologize to them face to face. And I know I did a terrible thing to their family, and I stole an opportunity for them to make amends with them and to reconcile it. What I did was horrendous. It was a terrible crime. I have no excuses. I said that earlier, and I tried to live my life in prison to prove that these thoughtless acts of a 16-year-old teenager do not personify who I am as a person. I've been able to help other people. I've been able to give them hope in hopeless situations where they come from broken homes and shattered lives. And I've been able to hold on to be able to make a difference in my life here in the prison, and as well as in the outside community by doing service projects for others. And I just cannot apologize enough. I have so much sorrow and heartfelt sympathy for the Scotias, and I just hope that they would take into consideration that I was a stupid kid and I did a terrible thing at that time, but that in no way defines who I am as a person, who I am as what my parents have raised me to be, and who I am today as what I've grown through this whole 34 and a half years in prison. I'm very sorry for what I've done, and I just hope that my life in prison is enough to be considered for an opportunity for release, and I thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Nordyke, you want to wrap it up briefly?
Yes, sir. The man that argued the Miller case and the Graham case, Brian Stevenson, wrote a book called Just Mercy. And in that book, he said that we are better than the worst thing we've ever done in our life. And Matthew is better than the worst thing he ever did in his life. I've done over 500 cases, folks serving over 20 years. And I have, to this date, never put together a package as accomplished as the one I put together and filed with the board on Matt. One of the things, and I'm not gonna belabor all the achievements, the board's read them, but I do want to talk about the sentencing judge's comments. I read the transcript carefully. And there are several things, actually 4 things in that transcript that I want to emphasize. He said that Matt accepted responsibility October of 1986 when he pled guilty. He read a statement to the board, or to the, excuse me, to the trial court then, accepting responsibility. He also said that he didn't understand why the state of Louisiana was forcing this hearing or that hearing. And he went on to say that Matt was not the worst of the worst, and it was transient and maturity. And he finally said that there were 14 witnesses that appeared before him. And of those 14 witnesses, only 2 were in opposition. And the interesting thing is, of those 2, neither of those 2 had talked to Matt, knew anything about his intervening 34 years and who he had become. Matt accomplished most of what he accomplished before Miller, before he ever had a chance of getting out of prison. He was doing life, and he accomplished a GED a month after he got there. He became president of the JCs, welding, carpentry, numerous other things. And I'm not gonna go into those because it's well known to this board. He's got a low risk Tiger score. His last Lorna was a year and a half ago. Lorna has not been updated, but it would be a -1 today. I did do the calculations. And he's done everything he can do. Finally, if you look at the record, there are at least 4 wardens that have written incredible letters of support. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Warden Kelly Ward, who was Matt's warden at Wade, wrote a 3-page letter in support. I've never known Kelly to do that. Warden Vinoy, who was no longer at DCI, he was now at Angola, on his own, went to Jefferson to testify in Matt's resentencing. So the wardens are in support. And of course, you've heard what Warden Butte said today. So we would close with this. We understand that the victims in this crime don't want Matt anywhere around. Matt is willing to draw a fence around himself and stay in the Baton Rouge area, never go to wherever the victims may be, and certainly would agree to not go back to the Jefferson Parish area, the New Orleans area. So we would ask that he be paroled to the Parole Project. Let the Parole Project handle the accountability issue, and let Matt be accountable to his peers, to those that know him well and will take care of him. So with that, we would ask for a parole.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion for executive session.
Motion for executive session. We have a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Marabella,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Kelsey.
Yes. We'll be right back, discuss confidential information.
Oh man. They about to discuss confidential information. It's one of those times again when the judges gotta go in private and deliberate before they make their decision. It seems like they might want to change their mind about something. They seem like they want to go over something, but this one seems interesting. It's very interesting. This is not an easy case. This is not an easy case. It's not an easy case, but all right. We're to the point where the judges are back.
I turned it on. See? Yes.
All right, can everybody hear us? We're back?
Sir.
Everybody can hear us? We're all good? Okay, back from executive session. All right, is the panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Keith Nordyke.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, so they came right back to vote. They came right back to vote. All right, we're going to put the poll in the chat. All right. Will the judges grant parole in this case? I spelled judges wrong. Sorry about that. Just realized. Spelled judges wrong. But will the judges grant parole in this case? I say yes. I listened to the crime. I listened to all the victims. I listened to the officer. I listened to everything, and I put everything into consideration. This crime was horrific, horrendous. He definitely is cold-blooded, but that was 34 years ago. Can I really say that this man is the same person 34 years later? I don't know if I can say that. And if I had to consider anything to make me make a decision on whether or not I think he might even be possibly different, I have to consider his experiences in the 34 years. What has he been up to? And he has a lot of positive things. There's a lot of positive considerations, and as bad as the crime is, do you think he has been rehabilitated? That's the main thing. Do you think he has been rehabilitated? Jail and prison should provide some type of reform based on what you've heard and what you learned about his 34 years experience in there. Do you think he might have gotten some type of reform? And when you listen to the man, it sounds like it. If it's all an act, it's really convincing, because for you to know that you're not gonna get out, you got life in prison, but you still for 34 years did all you can do to just be a good person in jail. That seems like you wasn't really working on getting out. It looks like you was working on yourself. It seems like you might have been working on your soul. So I don't know. With all those considerations, I'm thinking that the judges is gonna let him out. I'm thinking that, and the one of the victims' daughters said she forgives him. That means a lot as well. All right. The poll is over. All right. We got 22 votes. Will the judges grant parole in this case? 81% of the people said yes, and 18% said no. So majority of the people think he's going to get granted. Let's see what the judges got to say.
I'm sorry. Mr. Keith Jones. Y'all got me confused. Mr. Keith Jones.
Too many Keiths. I'll answer them.
Too many Keiths. Mr. Jones. Jones.
Muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am, this was a reprehensible crime, unimaginably brutal, and even more unimaginably senseless. And it appears to me that Mr. Pineda did the right thing when he pled guilty, because he was guilty. The United States Supreme Court in Miller and Montgomery told us that we should consider, when considering for parole, inmates who committed their crimes before they were the age of 18. Mr. Pineda was 16. That we are to consider demonstrated maturity and rehabilitation. So has Mr. Pineda demonstrated that he has gained maturity and been rehabilitated? And I don't think there's any doubt by any measure that this board considers, Mr. Pineda has done all that he can do. He's done as much as a man can do when he's locked up, as far as I can tell, to rehabilitate himself and to demonstrate his maturity. My vote, therefore, is to grant Mr. Pineda's parole. I want, although it did not appear that Mr. Pineda had a drug or alcohol problem beyond the steroids, I want, as a condition of his parole, to go to at least 2 AA-NA meetings every week. There are 4 reasons. Number 1, nobody ever got in trouble at an AA meeting. Number 2, you keep going to the same AA meetings and you'll make friends who are clean and sober, and you can use some friends like that. Number 3, you'll get a sponsor in the program who will help you do the next thing, which is work the steps. Working the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous is a wonderful roadmap for living a good, honest life. Nobody does it perfectly, but if you try, it will make your life simpler and better. Also, I would put his curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. and I would prohibit him from going to Jefferson Parish. That's my vote.
Mr. Marabella.
In reviewing the whole file and listening to everyone today, I want to reiterate what Mr. Jones said. This is a horrible crime. It's been described in great detail. I respect the requests and the opinions of the families of the victim, Mrs. Wheat, who is here today. I do understand that, and I appreciate that. And no one is saying this wasn't a very horrible and senseless crime. As Mr. Jones has pointed out, however, we are here to look at Mr. Pineda, what he's done since he's been in prison. He's been in prison for 34 years. He has done tremendous work with programs. He's done tremendous work with a lot of the persons who have already come out of jail, the things he's done to mentor them, as we've been pointed out today. He's gone 12 years without a write-up, 17 write-ups in 34 years. I vote also to grant his parole with the same conditions that Mr. Jones suggested. I believe, don't know if it's a condition, but I certainly want him to enroll in and complete and work with the parole project. That would be the condition as well that I would add to the conditions of his parole.
All right. You have 2 votes to grant your parole. Look, this is a tough spot to be in. It's a tough case. And look, I've been back and forth, read through it, listened to everybody. It has been a difficult decision, but I know how I feel about my parents, and it's kind of difficult for me to pass the fact that the daughters of the victims are here in full support. So I'm going to also vote to grant your parole today with the stipulations as stated. Curfew 9 p to 6 a. You have Mr. Jones NAAA 2 times a week. No, don't go to Jefferson Parish.
Yes, sir.
You'll be released to the parole project. Did I miss any, Jones, Mr. Jones?
Well, actually, I did. A condition I would like to place is that Mr. Pineda perform at least 4 hours a month community service of some kind. Whether it's speaking to young people so they don't make the same kind of mistakes he does, or I don't care if he's reshelving books at the library. I don't care. I want him to start paying back.
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you understand the stipulation stated, Mr. Pineda?
Yes, sir, I do.
You have 3 minutes to grant your parole today. Your parole's been granted. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, board.
Good luck.
All right.
Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. That was an interesting one. Definitely, I expect him to be emotional. Everybody's emotional in this one. This one was an emotional one. I'm gonna release this one as a premiere as well. This way we get the full visual, and my premieres are in 4K. So you can see, get a good look at everybody and every emotion. You can see every emotion in real time. So look out for the premiere of this. And when I premiere it, I'm gonna see if I can get some form of information on the case that I can put in the description. We got two more. And one of them is a speed case. So the last case we're not going to be voting on. It's one of those cases where the inmate is not there. So we're going to do this one, and then we got one more. All right. Now, if you want to support this channel, you can join a membership. You can send a super chat. You can hit the donation link at the top of the screen, at the top of the chat. You can send a Cash App or a PayPal donation to Rabbit Crime Network. Now, we are at a parole board hearing where inmate is up for parole and the judges will be voting on whether or not they will grant them parole. Before the judges make their decision, I will put a poll in the chat for 3 minutes and let the audience vote whether or not they think the judges will grant parole in this case. When the 3 minutes is up, I will read the results, and then I will play the judges' verdict, their decision, and see if the audience was in line with the judges. I'll be in the chat until then. And I will be back when it's time for the judges to vote. All right, we are on to our next case. Time to go.
The case for Joseph Landry, DOC 509-060. We have a number of people here in support, all at one location. So you won't see a bunch of names on the screen there. And the speaker will be the victim, Keisha Hart. Present with Miss Keisha at that location, we have Miss Emmy Woodruff, Chandler Woodruff, Patricia and Charlie Woodruff, Daniel Hanno, and the mother of the victim is Miss Emmy Woodruff. She is at the same location as the speaker, Miss Keisha Hart. We also have Kelly Dare, who is here from the group MAD, who would like to also speak briefly. And then we have 3 people here in support, Miss Wanda Ruiz, Sandra Porsche, and Ginger Roy, all of which are friends of the offender. Miss Ginger Roy would like to be the speaker, and that's it.
All right. All right, let's see. All right, ready for our next case. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Joseph Landry, 509060.
All right, Joseph, my name is Brennan Kelsey. I have Mr. Marabella and Mr. Jones also sitting on the panel. We'll conduct a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. We'll allow parties on both sides to make a statement, victims and support. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
Joseph Landry, DOC number 509060, second class offender, vehicular homicide, habitual, first degree vehicular negligent injury, sentenced to 42.5 years DOC, 6.5 years DOC, parole date 2/17/2019, good time 11/4/2053, and full term 10/30/2054. Does that sound correct?
That sounds about right.
You just answer Mr. Marabella, please.
But can't hear you.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Marabella, please.
Okay. Mr. Landry, tell me a little bit about the programs that you've done while you've been in prison.
About the first 5 years, I enrolled in a theology class. It was like a college course. It was a study of the Bible. I graduated with associates. I finished the bachelor's, but something happened with the Dr. John, and he wasn't able to continue coming to the prison I was in. So I didn't receive the diploma on that one. I also I got about 3 years in on a School of Faith program, and from there I went to work at prison industry, building cabinets and bookcases and other office furniture. I was kind of limited to the programs I could take because due to my time. But I was able to participate in the Living in Balance class, and I took the pre-release over here at DCI. So.
Tell me a little bit about your previous drug and alcohol use. How long did you start using? How old were you when you started using drugs?
Well, I was kind of a late bloomer. I probably started when I was in my 30s. I started taking pain pills for my back. I didn't realize how addictive it was. But that kind of grew out of control real fast.
How about drinking?
Yeah, I drank occasionally. I was never a big drinker, but just beer here and there.
How many times were you arrested for alcohol-related offenses?
I was arrested for a lot of drug possessions back, and that's what my whole arrest record is from, drug possession.
Well, how about DWI back in 95?
Yeah, I had a DUI, yes, sir.
Well, was that drinking? Was that drugs? What was that?
Well, it was a little bit of both.
So when did you start using, you said you were a late bloomer. What kind of drugs were you using initially?
Well, I didn't really use drugs back in my 20s. It was really in my 30s. I drank a little bit here and there back in my 20s, but the drugs, the pills and that really came on the scene in my 30s.
And how long did you use the drugs? Did you ever get any kind of treatment outside of prison?
No, sir. I wanted to get help. I didn't like the direction my life was going in. I really didn't. But I just didn't. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to go about getting help.
What programs have you taken involving substance abuse while you've been in prison?
I signed up as soon as I got here. So I signed up for whatever substance abuse class that came up, which one I could get in first. I signed up for it. But before that, I was kind of, like I said, I was limited over there at Allen because there really wasn't a whole lot of substance abuse classes over there.
Well, tell me which ones you did take. That's what I'm interested in, not the ones you didn't, the ones you did take.
Well, the one I took would probably be the Living in Balance class. So that was a 6-month class, and it was pretty much recovering from drugs.
And when did you take that?
I took that in 2016, maybe 2017.
How about AA or NA classes? Have you
I
done any of those?
I did that for 6 months, sir, and I stopped going. It was
Why is that?
it was real depressing for me. Real
What do you
depressing.
mean real depressing?
Well, it just kept reminding me of my past, and a lot of guys were getting up there, and it seemed to me like they were glorifying their past, and I was ashamed of my past, so I was ashamed
Well,
of.
what does AA and NA mean to you? What does that program mean to you in terms of assisting you to giving you the tools to stay off of drugs and alcohol?
Well, I mean, the one I had attended, it was more or less guys just speaking openly of about their addictions and how they was living with the addictions and some of the things they did while they was going through the addiction.
Well, you know, you're in jail because you killed a young man and you horribly injured another person. Tell me how, if you're asking me to vote to let you out early, how can I be convinced that you're not going to go back out there and do drugs and do alcohol and get behind the wheel of a vehicle and do something just like this again?
Well, I could tell you this, sir. I believe in order for a man to change, he has to want to change and he has to desire a change. And I was ashamed of what I came to prison for. And that shame giving me a desire to change. And I pursued that change, sir.
All right. You feel shame, but what tools are you going to use to make sure that you don't do drugs again? You don't like AA meetings or NA meetings because they depress you. What sort of tools or what sort of things are you going to do to make sure to convince me to vote to let you out that you're not going to go do this again?
Well, I'm not going to be around people that was doing the things I was doing. That's for one. And the desire is gone. So, I mean, I have 12 years. I've been practicing. I've been retraining my mind to think.
The desire for what is gone?
The desire for drugs. I don't desire that lifestyle anymore.
Do you know how many drug addicts say things like that?
Well, I can't
The
speak.
desire
I
is
can speak
gone?
for me.
I'm sorry?
I can't speak for them.
Well, I'm asking you
I'm sure most of them.
today. Well, let me stop you. What are you going to do from a positive perspective that will convince me to vote to let you out, other than telling me I ain't going to do it again? I feel shame. I'm not going to go to AA meetings because they depress me. Why should I vote to let you out when you're not giving me any material to believe that you're going to have the tools to change?
So I will do what's necessary. If it takes going to AA meetings, I will. It's just the way some of the ones were ran in here. I don't think all of them's like that. Whatever I have to do, sir, whatever it is, whatever programs, rehabs, or whatever, I'm willing to put myself through it.
All right. That's all the questions I have, I think.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you. Mr. Landry, tell me about your crime.
Tell you about my crime.
Yep.
Okay. I was driving, sir, when I shouldn't have been driving.
Why?
Why?
Why shouldn't you have been driving?
Because I had the medication in my system, and I didn't realize that I had too much to where it may cause me to fall asleep at the wheel.
Well, plus you had enough alcohol to qualify for a DWI, didn't you?
No, sir, I didn't have alcohol in my system.
I thought it was 0.08. Am I thinking about a different case? I apologize to you if I am. No alcohol in your system, right?
No, sir.
All right. So what were you taking?
I was taking methadone and Xanax.
Okay. And what happened?
I was going to the hardware store to
work on a trailer where I was living at. I made it to the hallway, still on the way back. I kind of fell asleep behind the wheel and ran into the back of a car that killed an innocent person and severely hurt another one. I wish it would have been me taking that day. I wish it would have been me.
Well, that's not how it works. That's all the questions I had.
So if you were released early, what's your plans?
Well, I have a good support system. I have Miss Wanda and Aunt Sandra, who's been here with me for quite a few years now. And she's got some work for me to do, a place for me to stay until I reestablish my own self. So,
what kind of work you gonna do?
I do carpentry work, remodel bathrooms, remodel houses.
Warden Booty, you have any input there on the facility?
He's been with me since November 2019. He's had no disciplinary report since he's been here. He's presently working in the chair assembly plant.
All right. Okay, we'll let's see if we can get a statement from supporter. You want to go with Ms. Ruiz first, Leo? Like to have maybe Ms. Ruiz can make a statement. You want to speak?
Yes, sir. I'm Ginger Roy. I'm speaking on behalf of Ms. Ruiz. I'm just a family friend. I just wanted to add that I've known Joe for many years now, and I truly believe he's fully reformed and ready to make a positive contribution to our society. He takes full responsibility for what he's done. He's incredibly sorry, and while he's remorseful for his mistakes, he has always been a very positive encouragement to our family. He's always full of hope to us. He spent his time expanding his education, growing spiritually. I believe that today he is a different man than who he was when he first went in. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And do we have one more member in support that would like to speak? No? Okay. So now we have victims. Would a victim like to make a statement? Is it Miss Keisha? Is that who's next? Can somebody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State your name and relationship and go ahead and make your statement.
My name is Keisha Hart. I am the aunt to Chandler and Logan. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, take a breather.
But I submitted an 8-page letter to y'all already.
Right.
And after listening to what Mr. Landry has had to say, I stand by my statement where he's not remorseful at all. He has shown no signs of getting treatment. I mean, he's ashamed, but he doesn't want to take responsibility and complete any kind of AA meetings or anything. He's not doing anything. He gets in there, he finds Jesus. He should have found before he went in, and none of this would have happened.
So this is Chandler.
This is Chandler.
Wait, tell the man. Look right here.
He was 3 years old at the time of the accident.
Correct.
Or
the crash.
The crash, and he suffers from multiple disabilities. He wears a helmet due to the seizures he suffers. The brain injury he suffered, he has basically like a stroke. His left side is weak. He has no use of his left arm. He walks with a limp because just basically the injuries. At first, they told us he would never walk or talk again. He did.
Where do you want to go?
He has been through so many surgeries and so many more to come. He is also having grandma seizures that they're trying to get him into a facility in Tennessee to see what we can do to find out about getting these under control, because in the last
2 months,
it's been about 4 or 5 months, they have gotten
really
a
bad.
lot worse. So now they're trying to get him into a hospital. So he is facing multiple medical issues every day of his life.
And more surgeries.
Due to Landry's actions. And he can't even take the time out to complete an AA meeting or a program.
Chandler can't even manage to go to school.
And yeah, Chandler is no longer in school because of the seizures. He is staying home. He
stays in the bed.
He can't walk much. When he walks without help, he falls. He's in and out of the hospital from his falls, his injuries, broken arms, broken toe, whatever, busted nose. He just busted his lip. Multiple things. And of course, there's Logan. Was 5 years old. We missed out on everything.
Be going about his first car show.
He just turned 17.
Yeah, he would have been 17 this year. So we missed out on a lot. And again, he feels ashamed. Well, shame just doesn't cut it. And I have a few pictures I'd like to share just of stuff that we have, Chandler has went through in the hospital at the time of the car crash. And just to show what he did and what he looked like. Of course, we don't have anything of Logan from the hospital.
Not sure if you can see that.
Yeah. This is Chandler. Chandler had to have a piece of his bone removed. To release the pressure. He had a broken femur. Shut that door, please.
Yeah, it's messing up. Look.
He had a broken femur bone, lacerated liver. I don't know.
Go ahead.
And this is a picture that'll show that his bone was, well, not so great. This is one of the last pictures we have of Logan and Chandler together. This was our Logan, our little country boy. And this is what we have to look at now.
All right. Thank you.
This is our last picture of Logan.
Okay.
That's what we have.
All right. Thank you, Keisha. All right, we have another speaker, Ms. Kelly. Are you want to make a statement?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kelly Dare, and I'm a victim services specialist with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. On July 4th, 2008, Logan Woodruff was killed and Chandler Woodruff was severely injured because Joseph Landry chose to drive impaired. They were innocent children whose death and injuries were 100% preventable. Logan was only 5 when his life was taken away. He is greatly missed and sincerely loved by family and friends. Chandler was only 3 years old at the time, and his life has been forever changed due to Mr. Landry's decisions. Obviously concerned about his own presumed needs, Mr. Landry had no care for the danger he presented to innocent victims that day. Whether he thought he could make it driving impaired or whether he just didn't care is of no consequence. What matters is that he got behind the wheel, started the engine, and proceeded to kill one innocent child and permanently injure another. For the sake of justice and a safer society, and to respect the wishes of the victims and survivors of this crash, Mothers Against Drunk Driving respectfully asks that you do not grant parole to Mr. Landry. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Landry, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
No, sir, I'm all right.
Okay.
No, sir. He's all right. He's good. He's he'll pass. He'll pass on a statement this time. All right. I'm gonna put the poll in the chat. Start the timer. Y'all know what this is. Will the judges grant parole in this case? Will the judges grant parole in this case? He's good. He don't got nothing to say on his behalf. He good. Man, I don't know what he think. I don't know what he think, man, because this right here is terrible. This right here is terrible. I'm like, bruh, do you understand the ramifications? Do you understand what you did? Like, and I didn't see too much of him. I didn't see too much of him actually being that much remorseful. I didn't see it. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it, but I ain't really see it. To me, it wasn't there. It was not really there. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I am not convinced. No. Sorry, sir. You're going to have to do better. Yeah, he just chilling. He just chilling. It's not looking good for him. Oh man. I'm saying he's gonna get denied. This guy, first of all, you took a life of a child. You're gonna have to spend like 20 something years up in there, bro. I don't know if you did enough. I don't know if you spent enough years in there. You probably gonna need some more time because the way you he still blamed the drugs. He completely blamed the drugs. He didn't blame his decision making in using the drugs, but mainly the drugs and its effect. And it's like what that child got to go through, what those parents got to go through, that's forever. You know what I mean? And one of their children is gone. Yeah. So I don't see that they think this guy has been rehabilitated enough to not go out and do something else. We got 10 seconds left. 10 seconds left. 5 seconds, actually. 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to end the poll right now. All right. The poll is ended. We got 21 votes. Will the judges grant parole in this case? 95% said no, and 4% says yes. So let's see what the judges say.
Is the panel prepared to vote?
Yes.
Mr. Marabella.
In reviewing the file in black and white is one thing. To see pictures and to hear the suffering of the family for this senseless crime is another thing. speaking with Mr. Landry, he has taken some substance abuse classes. In my opinion, he has not done sufficient classes or recognizing his addiction to be released. He doesn't want to go to AA meetings. Mr. Jones can probably elaborate a little more on that. But I don't believe that he has, number one, served enough time. He's doing a 42-year sentence. He's been in jail, I think, for 12 years. His history of alcohol and drug offenses, the fact that he has not sufficiently accepted responsibility, and that he has not done sufficient work to justify being released on parole and not going back to using drugs, I would vote to deny his parole.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Landry, let me say first of all that I know you didn't intend to hurt anybody. And that means something. But the misery you caused is no different than if you had meant to do it. What you didn't mean to do is to drive a car, a dangerous instrumentality, knowing that you weren't really capable of doing it. And the truth is, people do that every day, sadly. Few people are quite as unlucky as you. But you were unlucky and you were wrong. And the result is the destruction that we heard witness to. As to AA meetings, Mr. Landry, I've been to hundreds of them, hundreds. Some of them are depressing. They are. And occasionally you hear people talk, and probably it's worse in prison, they want to glorify their drug use or their alcohol use. And your job is not just to walk out and say it's not a very good program. Your job is to figure out a way to make it work, because it's the only proven program that successfully treats alcoholism and drug abuse. My advice to you is to get your hands on what we call the big book. It's a book called Alcoholics Anonymous. Doesn't cost very much. Your family can send you a copy and read it, and then read it again. And if necessary, if you need to start your own meetings, ask prison officials, ask the warden, whatever you need to do, and do that yourself. Show us that you have the resolve to make certain this never can happen again. Until then, my vote is to deny your parole.
Mr. Landry, you have 2 votes to deny your parole. I'm too going to deny your parole today due to victim opposition, law enforcement opposition.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes.
we lost DCI.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I've been texting.
I was afraid of that.
Nobody's been responding.
Who are you texting?
But we'll keep going. We will. He has 3 votes to deny his parole due to his law enforcement opposition, victim opposition, needs more programming, and lack of remorse. So 3 votes to deny his parole's been denied. Thanks.
His parole has been denied. Thank you. Thank you. That's it for him. All right, our last case we will not be voting on. It's one of those speed cases where the defendant is not there. So we're just gonna watch this one together. We're gonna watch this play out. All right, this is our final case. We just gonna react and watch it together. This is the watch along part.
All right. Where are we? What's going on?
Anna Garcia here on behalf of the.
Okay. Leah or
Mr. Kelsey, this is the case for Robert Green. DOC number 407836. We have Miss Anna Garcia, who is the first ADA at Sabine Parish, who is going to participate.
Okay, so we're going to discuss the case and then, or let her speak and give her input.
She will be speaking after the board member who was assigned to this case and talks about it to the other two board members.
All right, sounds good. All right, we're on the case.
All right.
Green, DOC number 407836. That's Mr. Jones. Is that your?
Yep, that's me.
Here for Mr. Jones.
I interviewed Mr. Green at some length. I think we took the whole hour. And he is a 41-year-old sixth class offender, which normally and may this time be a death knell, but hadn't committed a felony for 10 years before he did this one. And this one was kind of different. He pled to simple kidnapping. He claims the lawyer told him to get 4 or 5 months. Instead, he got 3 years. I don't know if that's ever true, but he has an interesting background. He has fought drug addiction to some degree his whole life, it seems like. Back in 2000, he was paroled by the parole board to Blue Walters, but he didn't go because he good timed out before that. But later, he did 17 months at Senecor. Mr. Kelsey, you're familiar with Senecor, right? Okay. I know Mr. Marabella is. He, under the sentence, even upon his release, he is to complete drug treatment and anger management before or after incarceration, and he must wear an ankle monitor. Those programs are not offered to him where he is. He can't do drug treatment or anger management. But what he wants to do, he wants to live with his mom in Mansfield, Louisiana, DeSoto Parish. It'll be just the two of them living there. Where he wants to go is to go to a CADA, what he calls CADA Treatment Center. He's been there before. It's in Bossier Parish. They have a program that they do 28 days inpatient and then 9 months, I think, follow-up. 90 days, not 9 months, 90 days aftercare at the same facility. The fact is, his parole date isn't until October the 13th of this year. His good time date is February 1st, 2021. So all a parole is going to do, in my opinion, is give him 3.5 months out early. But we've got that 3.5 months because we're going to order him to do 28 days at CADA and then 90 days thereafter. So as long as he's doing what we tell him to do, he's really doing his full term until good timing out. We have, in my opinion, has always been that we have a lot more control if we do that than if we just make him serve out his time and then whatever his parole officer tells him he has to do without our direction, what he do. So he says that he didn't do the crime the relationship with his victim is more complicated than the court knew, I think. There was a lot of drug use between them. And as a matter of fact, he met her at a program he was completing after he pled on a misdemeanor, and she persuaded him to come live with her. And he said as they left, the first thing she wanted to do was go get high. So one thing led to the next, and their relationship resulted in what she says he did. But you know, her view of it is her view of it, and it's not that that important to us when we're faced, I think, with the decision of whether to just make him finish doing his time and get out on good time, or send him to a treatment center, which will last until he would good time out anyway. So my recommendation would be to grant him to the CADA Center for both the 28-day and the 90-day aftercare. And after that, our regular stipulations as far as AA meetings and so forth. But I'd be happy to hear from the DA on it.
All right, I'd like to make a statement.
Yeah, this is Anna Garcia. Did regarding the drug treatment facilities that you testified to that he had attended, did he ever complete any of those programs?
No. Well, 17 months at Centacor, which was 24 months is the full term there. And,
so that would be a no. He did not complete it.
No. And that's why. Why is that? Well, go ahead. No, he didn't. What's that?
Well, so but in this, it's more than just about his drug use stemmed him. It created a violent situation. He forced her and threatened to kill the victim if she did not take him to Mansfield. He forced her to run a red light in town as she was trying to flag down law enforcement. She got away from him one time. He found her, drug her back into the car. She was able to stop and fled one more time and had to hide between some log trucks before help came to her. So my concern is someone who's had ample opportunities to not only attend but complete substance abuse, has chosen not to. And because of his choices, this victim in this case was subjected to death threats. And so we adamantly oppose any early release.
Yes, ma'am. Would you rather him spend the next 4 months in drug treatment and residential aftercare, or in jail?
Well, why can't he do that if he comes out on parole? When he comes out after the October date, after October 13th.
Oh, you want him to do the time, and then we can't make him do it then. We can make him do it now.
Is that because he will term out in February?
Yeah.
Well, based on his history, I don't think he's going to do it anyway. So at least I know that the public is safe with him incarcerated.
If he doesn't do it, the day he leaves the program, they call the cops. And what we're trying to do is something that is best for everybody. It seems to me, at least that's what my vote's going to be. But we appreciate your advice.
Well, thank you.
All right, Mr. Marabella, you have any statement you'd like to make?
I don't have any questions of Keith. I agree with everything he said, and my vote would be the same for the same reasons.
Yeah, and of course I am. Listen, I have some of the same concerns the DA has. So, but you're right. I guess I think we're in a COVID situation here. I don't know if we can get him transferred. I mean, I think we're talking about getting him somewhere that they're not going to take him right now. I think that's that's a concern I have.
I'm trying to remember if his mom called over there, and I didn't make a note of it. Shame on me, but it's simple as this: if they don't take him, he doesn't get out. He's being paroled strictly to that. If they're not ready to take him, they don't let him out.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, I guess maybe we can go into executive session and see what discuss that, because I don't think he's going to be able to go.
All right.
All right.
We'll talk about that.
Executive session motion, second it. Teresa.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes.
Mr. Marabella,
Yes.
and Mr. Jones.
Yes.
We'll be back. Teresa.
Mr. Kelsey,
Yes.
Mr. Marabella,
Yes.
and Mr. Jones.
Yes.
We'll be back.
Oh, hold on. What's going on here? He on official business.
Or he is released. If he wants to go to SATA, then we encourage it. But Steve Hoyle is the best we have to offer, and we are. I am hopeful that it will make a difference for him.
Okay, Mr. Marabella.
My vote is to grant under the same conditions and for the same reasons as Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, would you put any curfew stipulations, anything like that?
I would. 9 to 6 curfew, 3 AA meetings a week, AANA. Alcohol wasn't really his problem, but it doesn't matter. They're better meetings. That'd be it for me.
All right. We have two votes to grant parole to Steve Hall. And I also am going to vote to grant parole to Steve Hall Substance Abuse Program, where they also have to complete anger management. The stipulations as stated will be curfew 9 p to 6 a, 3 AANA meetings per week, and we'll have no contact with the victim. So 3 votes to grant Steve Hall. Miss Anna, if you're there, that's no.
I can hear. The only other concern we have, there was an order of an ankle monitor.
Well, I think that's on the judgment.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so there's already a court order for that, and that is, I think his parole officer once he's out of Steve Hoyle, his parole officer will see him.
Okay, thank you.
Our board can add that if y'all should choose though, Mr. Kelsey.
Well, I'd like to continue with his ankle monitor.
All right. You'll have to wear 2 of them.
Mr. Kelsey?
Just one of them. Yes.
Mr. Kelsey, can we please adjourn?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Miss Anna, I'd like to speak to you for a moment.
Yeah, we can adjourn.
You can stay on the call.
So y'all hear the vote. We're adjourned. It's 12:49. We're done.
All right,
Great job, guys.
We're done here. Great job, guys. All right, this one wraps up our Parole Watch Along, Parole Board Watch Along. I want to thank everybody for their participation. It's very appreciated. And of course, I'm going to shout out all my members and we're going to get out of here. You are appreciated. Shout out to Dove C. Lit, Thick Cut, Yvonne May, Tora Hayes, Mad Max 250, Sonya B, Draco, Toby Kaiwu, Shorty XOXO, T, Lovey Star, Roll Rich ENT, Queen of Three, Egon Breeze Block, Nene Faye, Sugar Bear, Lucy, Fats TV, Bree, Top Monster Gaming, Sheila B, Miss Eve, 27 Darin, Dad Tias, It Is What It Is, J Dub, Katana, Dana Maria, D Grant, Alif CJ, Kobe Knows, Distracting One, Gem's Eye View, Long Live EA, Tesha Z's Highly Favorite, Uncle L, Go Getter, Relly Time TV, Sunrise 71, Steve A, Trey Spectives, Courtney Peach. I want to thank you to everybody that voted, everybody that hit the like button, everybody that watched, shared, everybody that sent a donation. I appreciate you. And I will see you again the next time we do a Parole Board watch along. Be on the lookout for some premieres. 2 of these cases are getting premiered. So you guys can share it, or if anytime you need to reference it, you can get the direct video of 2 of these cases that I find interesting. And they will be in 4K full screen so you guys can see all the emotions. All right, so thank you for everybody for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and be on the lookout for more content. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to join the Wabbit Crime Network Discord for up-to-date content and articles and crime stuff. Thank you and take care.